Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive. Today, it's all about diamonds. We found this awesome YouTube video that really gets into it, like how they actually form and all the cool stuff they're used for besides jewelry, which I bet some people don't even realize.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure. We're talking billions of years in the making and over 100 miles below the Earth's
A
surface.
100 miles underground.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. So deeper than we've ever dug, obviously. What's even going on down there? How does a diamond get made?
Well, you need crazy pressure, like unimaginable, and heat that could melt, well, almost anything. It's enough to actually turn carbon into a diamond, and that's how you get one of the hardest things on Earth. Plus, all that sparkle. That's all happening way down in the Earth's mantle.
So it's not just about being deep, right? There's got to be something special about that pressure and heat to turn plain old carbon into a diamond.
You got it. It's like a recipe. The temperature and pressure have to be just right, or you get something else entirely.
Okay, I can kind of picture that. But then how do these diamonds that are like baking 100 miles down,
Mhm.
how do they get up here where we can actually find them? I'm pretty sure they don't just like float up.
That is where kimberlite pipes come in. So picture these like giant, I don't know, like carrots of rock pointing upwards that were formed by ancient volcanic eruptions. I'm talking like seriously powerful eruptions that basically shot diamonds up closer to the surface millions of years ago.
So like way more intense than the volcanoes we see today. These diamonds were like blasted out of the earth. That kind of changes how I think about them.
Definitely a dramatic origin story, and actually geologists can trace those old eruptions to find where diamonds might be hiding today.
So if I want to go diamond hunting,
Mhm.
I should grab a geology book and look for old volcanoes. But I guess it's not as simple as just showing up and picking them up off the ground, huh?
Nope, not at all. We're
Yeah.
talking huge mining operations, like picture giant open pit mines, like craters in the earth or these like massive tunnel systems underground, all for getting those diamonds out.
Wow, okay. Definitely not something you do on a casual hike then. So what about alluvial mining? The video mentioned that too. Is that like a different way to find diamonds?
Totally different. Alluvial mining is about diamonds that eroded away from where they first formed and got carried by rivers and streams over millions of years. Kind of like panning for gold, but with diamonds.
Okay, I can picture that. Patiently sifting through a riverbed, hoping to strike it rich. Sounds almost peaceful. And some of those famous diamonds, did they come from alluvial mining?
You're right. Some of the most valuable ones, especially the ones that are smooth and rounded from, years of being in the water,
Hmm.
those were found by alluvial mining.
So let's say we've got these diamonds, whether they were like shot up by a volcano or hanging out in a river. They don't just magically look like the ones we see in jewelry stores, right?
That's where the diamond cutters come in. They're the artists. A really skilled cutter can take a rough diamond and turn it into something amazing by understanding its unique qualities.
So they're not just making it a certain shape, they're bringing out the sparkle or something like that.
Yeah.
And the round, brilliant cut, the one everyone knows, that's the most popular because it makes the diamond sparkle the most.
Exactly. But all the other cuts, the ovals, squares, hearts, they all have their own look. It's like picking the right frame for a painting to make it look its best.
I never thought about it like that. The video also said that each diamond is unique, kind of like snowflakes. What makes them all different then?
Okay, so remember those 4 C's you hear about. It's cut, clarity, color, and carat weight. We've already talked about the cut, but clarity is about little imperfections inside the diamond. It can have tiny inclusions or blemishes. A totally flawless diamond is super rare and, worth a lot.
So those tiny flaws, they're actually part of what makes it special, like a fingerprint.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's color. People think of diamonds as being clear, but they actually can be all sorts of colors. Pink, blue, yellow, even green. That's usually because of trace elements that got trapped inside the diamond when it formed.
Wow, so those colored diamonds are extra special then.
You bet. And last but not least, we have carat weight, which is basically the diamond size. The bigger it is, usually the rarer it is, and yeah, the more expensive too.
Okay, so knowing about the 4 C's can help you appreciate why every diamond is one of a kind. Speaking of size, the video mentioned this Cullinan diamond. Wasn't that a ridiculously huge diamond?
Oh yeah, the Cullinan was so big they actually cut it into a bunch of smaller diamonds, and some of those are actually part of the British crown jewels. Pretty wild that one diamond can have that kind of history.
It's amazing to think about. So where in the world are we finding all these diamonds? Are they like everywhere, or are there certain places that have more of them?
Diamonds are found all over, but some spots are more famous for them. South Africa has been known for diamonds for a long time, and some of the most famous ones came from there.
I could just picture it. Those rugged landscapes, giant mines, people finding these amazing treasures. What about other places?
Well, Russia has some of the richest mines in the world, and they produce a ton of diamonds. Then there's Botswana, which is known for its really high-quality diamonds, super clear and sparkly. And get this, even Canada has a pretty big diamond industry.
Canada. Seriously. I always think of like warmer places when I think of diamonds. So all these diamonds are being mined on a huge scale and then, what, shipped all over the world? It's kind of crazy to think about how far they travel.
Yeah, it is. And get this, not every diamond ends up in a piece of jewelry. They actually have all sorts of uses because they're so tough.
Really? Diamonds are good for more than just bling. Tell me more.
Think of things like diamond-tipped tools. They're used in factories for cutting metal and glass, and construction for drilling through rock, even in surgery for really precise work.
Diamond tip tools in surgery.
Wow.
Never would thought of that. From like crowns and tiaras to helping doctors, that's a pretty big range.
Exactly. They're not just about looking pretty, they're seriously useful. And you know that whole idea that diamonds are incredibly rare? It's not quite the whole story.
Yeah, the video talked about that a little. We think of them as rare, and of course that's part of why they're so valuable. But it sounds like there's more to it.
Think about it. They're mining tons of diamonds every year. It's the ones that are like absolutely perfect, flawless, with great color and a good size. Those are the ones that are truly rare.
So there are plenty of diamonds out there, but finding that super special one, that's the tricky part. It's like trying to find, I don't know, a four-leaf clover in a field of clovers.
Exactly. It's a mix of natural rarity and how the market works that makes us think of diamonds the way we do.
It's really changed how I think about them. I mean, they're beautiful, but they're also like these little time capsules, billions of years old. That makes wearing one even more special.
For sure. And that's just the beginning of our diamond exploration.
I can't wait to see where we go next with this deep dive. Welcome back to our Diamond Deep Dive. Last time we went, like, from the heart of the earth all the way to the surface, following those diamonds, and then learned all about those 4 Cs that make every diamond special.
Yeah, and we saw how diamonds can be way more than just sparkly things. They're actually hard at work in tons of industries, from, construction to even medicine.
Totally. It made me rethink diamonds, that's for sure. But there's another part of the diamond world we got to talk about, and that's the ethical stuff.
Right, exactly. Sometimes all that sparkle can kind of hide the fact that there's a lot going on behind the scenes, from the mine to the jewelry store.
When you say a lot going on, what do you mean? What are we talking about when it comes to ethics and diamonds?
One of the big things is conflict diamonds, sometimes called blood diamonds, which are mined in areas controlled by rebel groups. Basically, they use those diamonds to finance wars and stuff, and that usually means really bad human rights abuses are happening too.
It's hard to believe that something as beautiful as a diamond could be tied to, like, violence and suffering. It's such a contrast. Is there even a way to, like, fix that?
It's a tough one, yeah. But the good news is that people are trying. There's this thing called the Kimberley Process Certification Scheme, which started in 2003. The goal is to keep those conflict diamonds out of the market, the ones everyone buys.
So the Kimberley process, it's like a safety net, like a
Yeah.
way to know that the diamond you're buying isn't funding, something terrible.
Yeah, think of it as a way to track the diamonds from like the minute they're dug up all the way to when they end up in a ring or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all about making sure they came from a place where there's no conflict happening. The countries that sign on have to follow strict rules so conflict diamonds don't get traded.
Okay, so it's a step in the right direction. But
Mhm.
is it perfect?
Mm.
Do conflict diamonds still, like, slip through the cracks sometimes?
The Kimberley process has been good for making people aware of the problem, and yeah, it's definitely slowed down the flow of conflict diamonds. But some people say it's not enough, that there are still ways for unethical stuff to happen.
So as a consumer, you still have to pay attention, right? Like, ask questions about where your diamond came from. It's about the sparkle, but also about knowing the story behind it. What if the environmental side of things? Mining diamonds must have some impact, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mining anything is going to disrupt the environment to some extent, and diamonds are no different.
We were talking earlier about those huge mines, the big pits and the tunnels. Digging into the earth like that has to have some consequences.
Yeah, you're right. It can lead to deforestation, habitats getting destroyed, soil erosion, even water pollution, and sometimes it disrupts the lives of people who live nearby and depend on the land.
It's a lot to think about. So is there any way to do it better? Like to mine diamonds in a way that's less harmful?
Well, some companies are definitely working on that, trying to make things more sustainable. They're doing things like switching to renewable energy so they pollute less and trying to reduce waste. They're also trying to restore the land after they're done mining so it goes back to being, a natural environment.
So there's some awareness that sustainability matters,
Hmm.
right? Not just for the environment, but also for the future of, the diamond business itself.
It's not just about being green, it's also smart business long term. And consumers are a part of it too. People are wanting to know where their diamonds came from and what impact their purchase had. They want transparency and companies to be accountable.
It seems like there's this change happening where people want more than just a pretty diamond. They want to know it came from a good place, that it's beautiful but didn't cause harm along the way.
That's it. And as a consumer, you actually have power to make a difference. When you choose a diamond that matches your values, you're helping make the whole industry more ethical and sustainable.
Knowing that feels good. But what if you want to make less of an impact but still, love the idea of a diamond? The video said they aren't as rare as we might think.
Hmm.
Are there any alternatives?
Yeah, there are some really cool options that are becoming more popular, like lab-grown diamonds and diamond simulants.
Lab-grown diamonds. I've heard of those. Are they just like fake diamonds?
No, no, lab-grown diamonds, sometimes people call them synthetic, but they're actually chemically the same as mine diamonds. They have the same sparkle, the same hardness, everything. The only difference is where they came from.
So they're real diamonds, just made in a lab instead of dug up. Sounds kind of sci-fi. How does that even work?
Well, scientists figured out how to copy those super intense conditions deep in the earth, the heat and pressure, and use that to grow diamonds in a lab. It's pretty amazing.
That is wild. But if they're basically the same, why would someone pick a lab-grown one over a mined one?
It comes down to the ethical and environmental stuff we were talking about. Lab-grown diamonds don't involve mining, so they have way less impact on the environment.
Hmm.
And you don't have to worry about conflict diamonds or, people being treated unfairly in mines.
So it's like a guilt-free sparkle then. What about those diamond simulants? How do they compare?
Diamond simulants are things that look like diamonds but aren't actually made of the same stuff chemically. They're usually cheaper, but they don't have the same hardness or sparkle.
So they might fool you at first, but they won't last as long or be as brilliant as the real deal, whether it's mined or lab-grown.
Exactly. Cubic zirconia and moissanite are popular simulants. They can be a good choice if you're on a budget but want to get that diamond look, but yeah, they're not really a substitute.
Okay, so there are like a bunch of different diamond choices, each with its good and bad points. You got to decide what's most important to you, whether it's ethics, the environment, or how much it costs.
It's all about making a choice that you feel good about, and the key to that is knowledge. The more you know about the diamond industry, the better you can choose.
It's not just shopping for something sparkly. It's about understanding the whole impact of what you're buying. Do you think, like, down the line, lab-grown diamonds could actually become more popular than mined diamonds?
Maybe. As technology gets better and people care more about where their stuff comes from, lab-grown diamonds are becoming a better option for a lot of people.
That would be a pretty big change for the whole diamond world.
Yeah, for sure. But it wouldn't happen overnight. Mine diamonds still have a kind of magic to them, a history and, like, a romance that's hard to copy.
That's true. There is something special about a diamond that formed billions of years ago, deep inside the Earth. It's like a little piece of our planet's story.
Exactly. But I think we're going to see both mined and lab-grown diamonds sticking around. People will have more choices, and the industry will have to keep up with what they want.
It's fascinating to think about the future of diamonds. It's not just stuck in time. It's changing all the time with technology, ethics, and what people care about.
And those changes are happening because of conversations like the one we're having, where we look at the whole picture and think about our choices.
Well, that wraps up part 2 of our Diamond Deep Dive. We've gone through the ethical and environmental side of things and all those cool alternatives if you want to sparkle with a clear conscience. Welcome back, Diamond Explorers. We've dug deep into the science, the industry, even the sometimes not-so-sparkly side of how diamonds get from the earth to our fingers. But now it's time for, like, the fun stuff. Let's talk about some of those legendary diamonds, the ones with stories and mysteries.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. It's like opening up a treasure chest full of history and intrigue. Every famous diamond has a story to tell, a journey that's sometimes connected to empires, celebrities, even curses.
Speaking of curses, got to start with the Hope Diamond, right? That one's like the poster child for cursed diamonds, bringing bad luck to whoever owns it. Is there like any truth to that, or is it just a good story?
It's mostly just a story, a legend. A lot of the people who own the Hope Diamond lived long, happy lives. But you gotta admit, a good curse makes things more interesting, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But cursed or not, the Hope Diamond is a pretty remarkable stone. What makes it so special, besides, the spooky stories?
Well, first of all, it's huge. 45.52 carats. That's pretty impressive. And then there's that color, like this intense, almost electric blue. It gets that from uh, tiny amounts of boron that got trapped inside the diamond when it formed. A blue diamond that big. That's super rare and, yeah, super valuable.
So it's like a science lesson and a history lesson all in one. Do we know where the Hope Diamond came from originally?
The exact details are a little fuzzy, but most people think it was mined in India way back in the day. And then it went through all these different hands, kings, bankers, even this French guy named Henry Philip Hope, hence the name,
Right.
obviously.
It traveled the world and saw so much history happen. Where did it end up?
Right now it's at the Smithsonian, the National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. This guy, Harry Winston, he was a jeweler. He donated it back in 1958, and it's like one of their star attractions. People just flock to it to see that incredible blue color.
From India to France to the U.S., it's a pretty epic journey.
Yeah.
It's wild to think that one little stone holds so much history, so
Uh-huh.
many different places and times.
Totally. And speaking of historical gems, can't forget about the British crown jewels. Imagine like crowns and scepters just dripping with diamonds, some of the most famous in the world.
Oh, yeah, the crown jewels. It just screams royalty.
Yeah.
Power and history. Which diamonds in that collection are like the must-sees?
Well, the Cullinan, it's also called the Great Star of Africa. That's got to be top of the list. It's the biggest clear-cut diamond on the planet, a whopping 530.2 carats. Remember we were talking about how big the Cullinan diamond was originally? This is the biggest gem they cut from it.
530 carats. That's like bigger than some birds. I can't even wrap my head around that. Where is it on display?
It's set in the Sovereign Scepter, which is one of the crown jewels, on display over in the Tower of London. Seeing it in person is pretty mind-blowing. It's like nature showing off, you know?
From way down in the earth to a symbol of, like, the British monarchy. That's quite a story. Any other cool diamonds in those crown jewels?
Oh, yeah, tons. There's this one called the Koh-i-Noor. It's another super famous diamond with well, it's a complicated history, to say the least. It was probably mined in India a long time ago, and then it, like, got passed around through wars and conquests and finally ended up with the British royals.
Sounds like the Koh-i-Noor has been through a lot, from ancient empires to modern-day Britain. What makes it stand out?
It's big, 105.6 carats, and it has this, like, classic oval, brilliant cut. Right now it's set in the Queen Mother's crown, so it's definitely got that historical significance.
It's crazy how diamonds can be more than just pretty things, right? They become these symbols of power, history, national identity even. It's like they're part of some big historical drama.
You're right. And think about how much famous diamonds have influenced, like, our culture. They pop up in paintings, books, movies, even songs. Remember Marilyn Monroe singing about diamonds? Or all those heist movies where the prize is some legendary diamond?
Yeah, good point. Diamonds just have this, like, this pull, this magic that makes people want them. They represent beauty, luxury, all that good stuff.
It's that human thing, right? We're drawn to things that are rare and valuable. We want to own them. And that's driven so much of our history, exploration, invention, and, yeah, unfortunately, conflict, too.
It's a complicated story, that's for sure.
Hmm.
But it shows that diamonds aren't just sparkly objects. They reflect us, our desires, our history, even our not-so-great moments.
Our deep dive's taken us from, like, the fiery birth of a diamond all the way to palaces and museums. We've looked at the science, the industry, the ethical stuff, and, yeah, just the pure fascination with diamonds.
It's been a wild ride, and it's definitely changed how I see diamonds. They're not just things. They're stories waiting to be told, connections to our planet, and, I guess, reminders that our choices matter.
So next time you see a diamond, think about everything it took to get there, from deep inside the earth to right in front of you. Maybe someday you'll have your own diamond, and then you'll be part of its story too.
Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep shining.
Mhm.
Thanks for joining us for this Diamond Deep Dive.